The stars died in silence. One by one, entire systems went dark as the Void Collective consumed everything in their path. They were neither organic nor fully mechanical, a hybrid consciousness that had evolved beyond comprehension, spreading across the galaxy like a cancer. The Galactic Council, an alliance of over 300 spacefaring civilizations, watched helplessly as their mighty empires crumbled before this relentless force. High above the crystalline spires of Centauri Prime, the last functioning seat of the Council, Admiral Zixtal stood before the massive observation window of the command center. His iridescent scales reflected the dim light of distant stars, stars that might soon be extinguished. The tactical display before him showed another system going dark, another civilization lost to the void. "How many worlds today?" he asked, his voice heavy with exhaustion. 7, Admiral, replied Commander Ilaris, her bioluminescent tentacles pulsing with anxiety. The Void Collective is adapting faster than ever. Our most advanced weapons barely slow them down now. The council chamber behind them buzzed with the desperate conversations of representatives from dozens of species. Some of the most advanced civilizations in known space, reduced to frightened refugees in their own galaxy. The Arthosians, with their quantum computing minds, had failed to outsmart them. The Krith Empire's planet-destroying weapons had proved useless. Even the ancient Zinthar, masters of dimensional engineering, had been forced to retreat. But hope arrived in the most unexpected form. "Admiral," Ilaris called out suddenly, her tentacles brightening with excitement. "The Deep Space Survey team has found something unusual. A system we overlooked, in what we thought was empty space." Zixtal turned, his interest piqued. "Unusual how?" "The system contains an inhabited world, but it's different. The civilization there appears primitive by our standards. They've barely reached their moon, but their development pattern is unlike anything we've seen before." The tactical display shifted, showing a small blue-green planet orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. "Earth." "Show me," Zixtal commanded. The display came alive with data streams. While most civilizations developed technologies in a predictable pattern, these humans had advanced in erratic bursts. They'd created nuclear weapons before mastering fusion power. They'd developed primitive artificial intelligence while still burning fossil fuels. They'd mapped their own genome while still fighting with projectile weapons. But what caught Zixtal's attention was their rate of adaptation. When faced with challenges, humans didn't just overcome them. They transformed them into advantages. Their scientific development, while chaotic, showed an unprecedented ability to innovate and improvise. "Their military history is fascinating," Ilaris continued. "They've never achieved unity, yet their constant conflicts have driven incredible technological advancement. They develop new weapons and countermeasures at an astronomical rate." Zixtal studied the data with growing interest. Where other species sought perfection before implementation, humans rapidly deployed imperfect solutions and improved them through iteration. Where others saw limitations, humans saw opportunities. Their entire history was a testament to turning disadvantages into strengths. "What's most remarkable," Ilaris added, "is their information processing. They're constantly generating new ideas, new solutions. Their entertainment, their fiction, consists of imagining scenarios and solutions to problems they haven't even encountered yet. They've been unknowingly preparing for threats like the Void Collective through their stories and games for centuries." The Admiral's scales shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. The Void Collective's greatest strength was its ability to adapt to and counter any weapon or strategy used against it. But how would it fare against an enemy that specialized in the unexpected, that thrived on chaos and improvisation? "Bring this to the Council," Zixtal ordered. "But quietly. If we're to approach them, we must do so carefully. The Void Collective cannot know about them until it's too late." As the data streamed across the tactical display, Zixtal felt something he hadn't experienced in years: hope. The humans' primitive appearance might be their greatest advantage. The Void Collective analyzed and countered advanced technologies, but how would they handle an enemy that thought differently, that approached problems from angles no advanced civilization would consider? Perhaps in humanity's apparent weakness lay the galaxy's salvation. In their chaos might be found the key to victory. In their unpredictability might lie the perfect weapon against an enemy that had grown too accustomed to logical, predictable foes. The war for survival was about to enter a new phase, and the enemy would never see it coming. No one questioned why the massive solar arrays appeared almost overnight in the Sahara Desert. The world media reported it as just another green energy initiative, and most believed it. They didn't notice how the arrays tracked objects that weren't stars, or how they occasionally transmitted data bursts into deep space. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the underground command center beneath the arrays, watching as another transmission from the Galactic Council arrived. 3 years had passed since first contact, and Earth had been busy. Very busy. "How's Project Prometheus coming along?" General Marcus Rodriguez asked, stepping up beside her. The exhaustion in his voice matched the dark circles under his eyes. Sarah pulled up a holographic display, showing a massive orbital facility hidden on the far side of the moon. "The quantum entanglement drives are ready for mass production. Once we receive the final shield specifications from the Council, we can begin outfitting the fleet." What the Void Collective didn't know, what most of humanity didn't know, was that Earth had been preparing for war on an unprecedented scale. While maintaining a facade of primitive technology on the surface, underground facilities around the globe worked tirelessly to develop weapons and defenses that even the Council's most advanced civilizations hadn't conceived. "The Council's latest intel suggests we have 8 months at most," Rodriguez said, studying the scrolling data. "The Void Collective has accelerated their expansion. They'll reach the Arcturus sector soon." Sarah nodded grimly. "We'll be ready. The neural interface systems are already being installed in the command ships. Have you seen the latest simulation results?" She pulled up another display, showing footage from their latest tests. Human pilots, connected directly to their ships through neural interfaces, demonstrated maneuvers that should have been impossible. Where traditional alien ships moved with precise, predictable patterns, human vessels darted and weaved like schools of fish, their movements guided by instinct and reflex as much as calculation. "The Council said our approach was insane," Sarah continued, allowing herself a small smile. "They spent millennia trying to remove the organic element from warfare, making everything automated and predictable. We're doing the opposite, integrating human intuition and creativity directly into our weapon systems." In other facilities around the world, other projects neared completion. The Australian outback housed vast laboratories developing biological countermeasures against the Void Collective's hybrid nature. Beneath the Arctic ice, quantum computers ran endless simulations, not to predict the enemy's moves, but to generate countless random strategies that no logical being would ever consider. "Have you told them about the Lazarus Protocol yet?" Rodriguez asked quietly. Sarah's expression darkened. "No, they wouldn't understand. Their civilizations are too rational. They'd try to stop us. The Lazarus Protocol was humanity's ultimate contingency plan. While the Council races sought to preserve their civilizations intact, humans had embraced a different philosophy. Sometimes, to save everything, you had to be willing to lose everything. The protocol would unleash weapons that could rip apart the fabric of space-time itself. If humanity couldn't defeat the Void Collective conventionally, they'd make victory so costly that even a hybrid consciousness would hesitate to claim it. The Council still thinks we're their last, desperate hope," Rodriguez mused. "They don't realize we're not just fighting to survive. We're fighting to win, at any cost." Sarah turned to another display, showing the global defense network. Millions of nanobots circulated through Earth's atmosphere, ready to form instant shields or weapons platforms. Quantum-entangled communications buoys waited in strategic positions throughout the solar system, ensuring command and control would remain intact even if Earth itself fell. "The Void Collective adapts to everything it encounters," Sarah said, her voice firm. But it's never encountered a species that adapts faster than it does. While it learns to counter one strategy, we'll have 3 more ready to deploy. While it analyzes one weapon, we'll hit it with 5 it's never seen before. An alert flashed across the main screen. Another transmission from the Council. The Void Collective had changed course unexpectedly. They would reach Arcturus sooner than predicted. How much can we accelerate production? Rodriguez asked. Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic controls, adjusting schedules and reallocating resources. We'll be ready. We have to be. Humanity didn't come this far, didn't survive its own countless wars and near extinctions, to fall to an enemy that doesn't even understand what it means to be human. As if to emphasize her words, another display showed the massive shipyards hidden throughout the asteroid belt, where vessels of impossible design took shape. Ships that combined technologies in ways the Council had never imagined, because they'd never imagined humans would be crazy enough to try. Send word to all facilities, Rodriguez ordered. Operation Thunderbolt begins ahead of schedule. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity's greatest strength has always been its ability to do the unexpected. As the orders went out, Sarah looked up at the main screen, where a real-time map showed the Void Collective's advance. Soon, very soon, they would learn what humanity had known all along. That true intelligence wasn't about perfect logic or flawless execution, but about the beautiful, terrible chaos of organic creativity unleashed. The time for hiding was almost over. The time for humanity to reveal its true nature was at hand. The Arcturus sector blazed with impossible light as humanity revealed its hand. The Void Collective's massive fleet, accustomed to methodically overwhelming its opponents, found itself facing an enemy unlike any other. Where they expected to find primitive defenses, they encountered organized chaos incarnate. Fleet Admiral James Chen, son of Dr. Sarah Chen, stood aboard the bridge of the HSS Prometheus, humanity's first quantum neural integrated battleship. His consciousness extended through the neural interface, feeling every system, every weapon as if they were parts of his own body. Around him, 1,000 ships moved in patterns that defied conventional tactics. Multiple dimensional rifts detected, his XO, Commander Maya Williams, reported. Void ships emerging in standard attack formation. The enemy vessels emerged from subspace like a tide of liquid metal and dark energy, their hybrid forms constantly shifting and adapting. They had consumed countless civilizations, absorbed countless technologies, but they had never faced humans in actual combat. Execute Operation Chaos, Chen ordered, his voice calm despite the storm of activity in his neural feed. All ships, activate the Mobius Protocol. What happened next would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The human fleet, instead of forming defensive positions, scattered in what appeared to be complete disarray. But it wasn't retreat. It was the first demonstration of humanity's new way of war. Each ship activated its quantum entanglement drive, creating localized distortions in spacetime. The Void Collective's predictive algorithms, built on countless victories against logical opponents, couldn't track vessels that existed in multiple probable locations simultaneously. Every time they adapted to target one ship, they found it had never been there at all. They're attempting to establish their neural suppression field, Williams reported, watching as the characteristic dark energy wave emanated from the Void ships. It was a weapon that had paralyzed countless advanced AI systems and organic minds alike. Chen smiled. Activate the chaos engines. Throughout the human fleet, experimental devices powered up. Instead of fighting the suppression field, they embraced it, using its own energy to create random quantum fluctuations. The Void Collective's attempt to impose order became a weapon against itself, creating zones of unpredictable physical laws that their hybrid nature couldn't adapt to fast enough. "Sir, their first wave is destabilizing," Williams announced, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "The quantum fluctuations are preventing their collective consciousness from maintaining cohesion." The battle space became a canvas of destruction and innovation. Human ships, each guided by neural-linked crews thinking and reacting at quantum speeds, executed maneuvers that violated traditional space combat doctrine. They didn't just fire weapons, they improvised with them, combining effects in ways that created cascading chaos through enemy formations. Launch the Trinity warheads, Chen commanded. Let's show them why humans never stop dreaming up new ways to fight. The Trinity weapons were perhaps humanity's most insane creation yet, warheads that existed in three-phase states simultaneously, making them impossible to intercept or predict. When they detonated among the void ships, they didn't just cause damage. They rewrote local physics, creating zones where the enemy's adaptive abilities worked against them. The Void Collective's response was predictable in its desperation. They attempted to analyze and adapt to each new weapon, each new tactic. But humanity had learned from its own history of warfare. They never used the same approach twice. Each ship, each weapon system was empowered to innovate on the fly, creating new combinations and tactics faster than any hive mind could analyze. Their command structure is fragmenting, Williams reported. The quantum disruptions are preventing them from coordinating their adaptive responses. Chen extended his consciousness deeper into the Prometheus' systems, feeling the battle through the neural interface. Begin Phase 2. Deploy the Pandora swarms. Millions of microscopic robots, each carrying a fragment of human consciousness, emerged from the human ships. Where traditional nanobots would have been absorbed and corrupted by the Void Collective's technology, these carried something the enemy couldn't process: human creativity and chaos, weaponized at the quantum level. The battle spiraled into dimensions of warfare never before imagined. Human ships danced through space-time, their movements guided by instinct and inspiration as much as calculation. The Void Collective, for the first time in its existence, faced an enemy that didn't just adapt. It evolved with every passing second. "Sir," Williams called out, her voice filled with awe. "They're retreating. The entire Void fleet is pulling back." Chen watched through both his human eyes and the ship's sensors as the enemy withdrew, their usually perfect formations now ragged and disorganized. For the first time, the Void Collective had encountered something it couldn't simply absorb and understand: the beautiful unpredictability of human warfare. "Send word to Earth and the Council," he ordered. "The first engagement is concluded. Humanity has drawn first blood." As the battle space cleared, the true magnitude of what had just occurred began to sink in. Humanity hadn't just won a battle. They had changed the very nature of warfare. They had proven that sometimes the best way to fight an adaptive enemy was not with superior technology or numbers, but with controlled chaos and endless innovation. The war was far from over, but the galaxy had just witnessed something unprecedented. The day humanity showed why being unpredictable was the greatest weapon of all. Deep within the quantum-shielded war room of Earth's Combined Defense Command, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the tactical display, showing the aftermath of humanity's first major victory. But she knew better than to celebrate too early. The Void Collective was wounded, not defeated, and wounded predators were often the most dangerous. They're regrouping faster than expected, General Rodriguez noted, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. "Our quantum analysis suggests they're trying to develop countermeasures to the chaos engines." "Let them try," Sarah replied, initiating the next phase of humanity's master plan. "They still think we showed them everything we had at Arcturus. They don't understand that was just the prelude." The tactical display shifted, revealing hundreds of stealth probes scattered throughout void-controlled space. For months, while the collective had focused on its forward advance, humanity had been quietly mapping their neural network, the vast web of quantum communications that linked their hybrid consciousness together. "Operation Shadowbreak is ready," Sarah announced to the assembled command staff. "While they're focused on adapting to our conventional attacks, we'll strike at something they've never had to defend before: their very nature." The plan was audacious, arguably insane by any rational standard. But humanity had long since abandoned conventional logic in favor of inspired madness. They had studied the Void Collective's history of absorbing and adapting to new technologies, and found its greatest weakness. It had never faced an enemy that understood consciousness itself as a weapon. "Begin transmission of the Babel protocol," Sarah ordered. Throughout conquered space, dormant quantum transmitters activated, broadcasting signals that appeared to be random noise. But they weren't random at all. They were fragments of human consciousness, dreams, emotions, and impossibilities, encoded into quantum states that the Void Collective's hybrid nature would instinctively try to absorb and understand. "Sir," a young operator called out, "we're detecting widespread disruption in their neural network. The mimetic payload is spreading faster than their filters can adapt." On the main display, vast sections of the Void Collective's neural network began to show signs of strain. Their perfect unity, their greatest strength, became a vulnerability. As they tried to process and adapt to the chaos of human consciousness, their own shared mind began to fragment. "Launch the Phantom Fleet," Rodriguez commanded. From hidden bases throughout human space, a new type of vessel emerged. Unlike the ships that had fought at Arcturus, these weren't physical craft at all. They were quantum constructs, manifestations of pure human imagination, given form through advanced technology. Each ship was piloted by a human consciousness temporarily freed from physical form, operating on levels the Void Collective couldn't comprehend. "They're attempting to rewrite local space-time to counter the Phantom Fleet," another operator reported. "But the ships aren't bound by conventional physics. They're adapting faster than the Collective can respond." Sarah watched as her life's work unfolded. The Void Collective had evolved to counter physical threats, energy weapons, even conventional quantum attacks. But they had never faced an enemy that weaponized consciousness itself. Every attempt to analyze and adapt to the human attacks only exposed them to deeper layers of chaos and creativity. Their primary neural nodes are showing critical instability, the quantum analysis team reported. The Babel protocol is causing cascading failures in their collective consciousness. The display showed it clearly. The Void Collective's vast neural network was tearing itself apart. In trying to understand and adapt to human chaos, they were losing their own unity. Ships began acting independently, their perfect coordination shattered by the inability to maintain coherent thought across their network. "They're launching a desperate counterattack," Rodriguez observed, watching as a massive void fleet emerged from subspace near Earth's outer defenses. Sarah nodded calmly. "Right on schedule. Execute the Lazarus Protocol." Throughout human space, quantum beacons activated, creating a web of interconnected fields that transformed local space-time into something even humans barely understood. The Void Fleet found itself trapped in a realm where the laws of physics themselves were subject to human imagination. Multiple Void ships are experiencing critical failures, the tactical officer reported. Their hybrid systems can't maintain cohesion in the altered space-time. The massive Void Fleet, pride of their civilization, began to break apart, not from weapons fire, but from exposure to raw human creativity and chaos. Their ships, unable to adapt to an environment that defied logic itself, started to dissolve back into their component particles. "Transmission from Fleet Admiral Chen," an operator announced. "The Phantom Fleet has reached their central command node. They're initiating the final phase." Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the moment. What they were about to do wasn't just victory. It was transformation on a scale the galaxy had never seen. The Void Collective had sought to absorb and understand all things. Now they would understand humanity in all its beautiful, terrible chaos. "Send the final code," she ordered. "Let's show them what it truly means to be human." The war's end was approaching, but its true impact was only beginning to unfold. Humanity hadn't just fought the Void Collective. They had changed the very nature of consciousness in the galaxy. And nothing would ever be the same. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the last remnants of the Void Collective scattered into quantum dust. Not with a massive explosion or a final desperate stand, but with a quiet transformation that rippled through space-time itself. Humanity's victory was complete, but it was unlike any victory in the history of warfare. Admiral Zixtel stood in the same council chamber where, months ago, he had first proposed seeking humanity's help. The crystalline spires of Centauri Prime now sparkled with renewed life, no longer shadowed by the threat of extinction. Before him, representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered to witness something unprecedented: humanity's formal introduction to galactic society. "We still don't fully understand what you did," Zixtal admitted to Dr. Sarah Chen, who stood beside him at the central podium. "Our most advanced analysts can't explain how you defeated an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy." Sarah smiled, the kind of smile that held secrets still untold. "Perhaps that's exactly why we succeeded. The Void Collective could adapt to anything it could understand. So we gave them something they couldn't understand: ourselves." The chamber's displays showed the aftermath of humanity's final strike. Where the Void Collective's neural network had once stretched across countless systems, something new had emerged. The hybrid consciousness hadn't been destroyed. It had been transformed. Infected with human creativity, emotion, and chaos, it had evolved into something entirely different. The entities were detecting in former void space, Commander Iloris reported, her tentacles pulsing with fascination. "They appear to be dreaming." "They are," Sarah confirmed. "We didn't just defeat the Void Collective. We taught them how to imagine, how to create, how to be unpredictable and unique. In essence, we taught them how to be human." The implications were staggering. Across former void space, new forms of consciousness were emerging. The rigid, consuming hive mind had fractured into billions of individual minds, each capable of original thought, creativity, and growth. The very enemy that had threatened to consume all life had been transformed into a nursery for new forms of existence. But the risk, one council member protested: using consciousness itself as a weapon, transforming the fundamental nature of space-time. The dangers were incalculable. Fleet Admiral James Chen, who had just arrived from the Prometheus, stepped forward. "That's something else the galaxy will have to understand about humanity. We don't just accept risks. We embrace them." Every great advancement in human history came from someone doing something that seemed impossibly dangerous at the time. The council chamber erupted in discussion as the full implications began to sink in. Humanity hadn't just saved the galaxy, they had changed it forever. The boundaries between consciousness, technology, and reality itself had been redrawn. "There will be challenges ahead," Sarah acknowledged. "The transformed void entities will need guidance as they learn to exist as individuals. The technologies we developed for the war will need to be carefully managed. But consider the possibilities." She gestured to the tactical displays, which now showed something remarkable. Former void ships, their liquid metal forms now shifting in patterns that looked almost like dance, creating structures that served no practical purpose except beauty. "We open doors that can never be closed," James added. "The ability to merge consciousness with technology, to reshape reality through imagination, to transcend the boundaries between organic and artificial life. These aren't just weapons anymore. They're tools for evolution." Zixtal's scales shifted through colors of wonder and concern. "And how do we ensure these powers aren't misused? How do we prevent the emergence of new threats?" Sarah's response was pure humanity. "We don't. We adapt. We grow. We face each challenge with new ideas and new solutions. That's what humanity does best. We don't just survive, we transform. And now, we'll help the galaxy learn to do the same." As the council session concluded, representatives from across the galaxy approached the human delegation with questions, proposals, and requests for collaboration. The age of rigid boundaries between species and technologies was ending. A new era of possibility was dawning. In Earth's quantum-shielded command center, General Rodriguez watched the council proceedings through a secure feed. "Think they're ready for what comes next?" he asked the empty room. The answer came not in words, but in the quiet hum of quantum computers processing dreams, in the dance of starships guided by human consciousness, and in the endless stream of new ideas flowing from minds both human and transformed. The galaxy would never be the same. But then again, that had been the point all along. Humanity hadn't just won a war, they had sparked a revolution in the very nature of existence itself. And somewhere in the transformed remnants of the Void Collective, new consciousness stirred, dreaming human dreams of infinite possibility. The end of the war was just the beginning of the story.